Hello friends, welcome back to part 18 of our walkthrough of Space Stout's expansion in Oxygen Not Included. Let's take another duplicant. So this one, I think... I don't want any allergies, that's really bad. Looks like, Meep, you're coming with us. Very excited to go live in a swamp. Okay, so the focus that I'm going to be doing here is keep an eye on your food. I'm still going to be going and digging out a bunch of these swamp chard hearts as much as I can. And just expanding, like literally just expand as hard as you can. If you start to run out of food, you always can ship yourself more. So let's do that really quickly just to show how I would handle that. All of my food that my duplicant should be eating is going to be stacked up right here, but there's going to be a bunch of like junk food that is not really that great to be here, and I don't really care about having it here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to allow manual use on this temporarily, and then I'm going to set this on a little bit higher priority and ask for my muck root and my nutrient bars. If I have those still, which I have a lot, my duplicants will prefer to not eat them. So I'm just going to send them to the other asteroid because, you know, they're living in a swamp. They can't be picky about their food. So I'm just going to send it there, which will drop our calories here temporarily, but it's not really that important. I wasn't really using it anyway. You can also just send yourself a shipment of any other type of food that you want. So if I wanted to send on my barbecue, I could easily do that. But we're about to be self-sufficient on our own food in that asteroid anyway. So yeah, just when you clear this, when you've sent enough, you can just uncheck the allow manual use so your duplicants aren't tempted to come back down here and do this. That allow manual use is really just a way for your duplicants to run stuff to that bin instead of relying on automation to do so. So now our calories here are quite good. It's not great food quality, of course, but whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Alright, the objective with what we're going to be doing here now. First of all, we need to start cooking some of the food that we got. I still don't want my duplicants to be eating any new things that we found that can be cooked. So this bog jelly in particular is one that I don't want them to eat. And if we find... Oh, we already have that unchecked. Okay, cool. Cook seafood. Yeah. Okay. So let's set up a quick station for cooking. So first of all, it's just going to be this electric grill, which I don't really have the space for right here. So we can just create it over there. And then we'll want to create a food to store all of our stuff here too. Or create a food. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Create a refrigerator. I don't know. Sometimes I just talk and I don't realize what I'm saying until about 5 seconds after I've said it. I'm like, wait, that wasn't right. So yeah, just going to create a quick food cooking area. And the objective that we're going to be doing here is, again, just digging around. But one thing we want to do is kind of hollow out this area the best we can. I really only want to dig down enough to start accumulating some of the water that's up here. But I want to hollow out this area because I want to start keeping these plug slugs in an area that allows me to generate power from them. So as I start to get more stabilized... Oh, there's a bunch of mud on this. As I start to get more stabilized... and I'm going to add one more room, by the way. I'm going to add our bathrooms that are going to be plumbed. Anyway, as I get more stabilized, I'm going to hollow this out as much as I can and try to get our plug slugs set up in here. So I'll be busy doing that for a little while, and I'll just create some bathrooms, like probably over here or something. Not super important. Okay, bathrooms are done. Pretty straightforward. Gonna grab another duplicant and put us up to 15. So that's 3 upsides. I think I'd rather have Amari, honestly, just because this downsides of no research. Yeah, and this one's like barely even... It's like not even a downside. This is like nothing. Alright, cool. Yeah, we'll take Amari. Oil. Print. Cool. Alright, making progress. We're almost got this all hollowed out. Once I do, I'll come back and we'll start getting these plug slugs all hooked up into our power network so that we'll have some free power just from the wildlife that lives here. So, yeah, we'll get there. Alright, we're almost there. One thing that I wanted to mention is once you start getting close to the top, you don't want to, like, waste too much time before you start putting a ceiling on this place, because you want to make sure that you can insulate yourself from any of the heat or the cold that's going to be coming from space. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that there are meteor showers on this asteroid, which means, well, I mean, we could try to combat that and we could try to get out there and deal with it, But on this asteroid, it's just really not worth it because we do have a direct supply line back to our home base. So I am not going to try to get out on the surface. I'm just going to wall it, and I'm going to use 2 layers of insulated tile, only because later on the meteor showers will get more and more hot, and I don't want that to risk anything with my base. So I'm going to delay that just a little bit, like delay hollowing this out just a little bit, just for the sake of getting this roof on as soon as I can. And I did set this to pretty high priority, but yeah, that's definitely something you're going to want to do. Alright, onward and upward. Okay, let's grab our last duplicant, and then this might be the last one I take for the entire game. I'm not 100% sure yet, but this is about where we want to get. Not the worst things here, but not very good interests on Camille. Oh well. Not the worst. I guess I'll take Camille. Sure. Oil Camille, more specifically. Alright, and our room is pretty much done. Just getting the last little bits of it out of here. See my duplicants just going ham, getting all this stuff out. Let's start setting up the room for these plug slugs. So, one thing with these plug slugs is you will want to make sure that they are sitting in breathable gas. If they're not, they will start laying eggs of different types, and you don't really want those. They're really not going to be very useful on this asteroid, and they're really not useful in general, I would say. So yeah, make sure that they're sitting in oxygen. But when you're ready, just start adding some doors on the edges of this room. This whole room is just going to be one big terrarium because I don't want to ranch these. I just want them to be wild, but I want them to have enough space that they don't have any problems relaying eggs and replacing their population and that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to do something like that. Gonna throw some walls and doors down and just kind of keep my airflow good. So got an extra spot here. The other thing is we need an area to get them to be wrangled and taken to. So I'm just going to create a small little room like this in the middle. And I'm going to start running heavy watt wire up here because these are going to produce a lot of power, which is good. I want that power. And I'm going to kind of treat them as a power source, just like we would for like a coal generator or something like that. We want to hook that up to some sort of power source. Or sorry, we want to hook that up to heavy watt wire, and then we want to transform it down to the other types. So on the inside of this room, I'm going to put down a critter drop-off. And that's where we're going to wrangle everything. Let's make sure that somebody on this asteroid actually is capable of doing that. Because right now we only have one person that's capable of ranching. I'm guessing they're back at home. Yeah, nobody here can do this, so let's grab somebody who can. Looks like Pei has just enough, so they will be our rancher here, which is really just to move these guys around. At night, these will crawl up the ceiling and they will fall asleep on the ceiling somewhere. I kind of want to spend as little resources as possible getting this heavy watt wire around this area. The problem, though, is that sometimes they can take a long time to crawl up the walls and go to sleep, but it's not terrible, so let's just do this for now. This is going to be the most aggressive I've ever been with this. Let's just see how this works. You want to place it... Here, I'm going to pause. At night, you can see them hanging upside down, and 400 watts is a lot. 400 watts is just going to be at the time when they are well fed. We're not going to feed them because their diet is metal ore, and that's really expensive. I really don't want to feed them this. I guess you could feed them like depleted uranium because it's not super useful, but I don't know. This is so expensive. So I'm just not going to feed them, and they will eventually drop down to much lower wattage, but still, it's worth it. So just going to set up something like that, just a line of power on the second tile above where they're going to be hanging. So I think this should be enough. I don't think I need to go the other way. I could also... Let's just do this. Let's create one line here and then one line at the top, just to make sure that they get here quickly enough. Now I'm starting to remember why I did this. Alright, and then the other thing that we need, because we're going to be having so much power going at night, we need a way to store our power, so we're just going to create another power bank like we did at our other place. But the problem is that we need a rocket platform, and we don't have any refined metals, so let's get our duplicants to send us some from the other colony. I'm not currently shipping this out, so we're going to have Duplicants manually load this. So allow manual use, refined metals here. Just going to send ourselves some copper from the other asteroid. Somebody should get up here and send it. We don't need to send a huge amount of it. I think it's just 800. We might want to actually send a little bit more, because we're going to be sending... we're going to be doing a couple of other things with refined metal here, too. Mainly, like, shipping and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just send everything I have, and then we can just create more here. Who cares? Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Alright, so... let's get it set up over here. This should start arriving and giving us enough in just a second. So there we go. It's starting to plop in there. See these bouncing. Almost ready. Come on. There we go. Alright, so... whoops. Totally misplaced that. Same thing as last time. Just need to create a big column for a whole bunch of batteries. So... I like to also put ladders around it too, just so it's easier to move around. So something like this. And then the power lines are just going to have to stick over and connect up to the batteries. So once again, duplicants are going to take a little bit to mine all this out. No reason to sit here and watch. Oh, I guess actually what we could do, let's finish up the rest of this. So I'm going to set this to open, and I want to wrangle all of the types of slugs. So it looks like there's only that kind so far, which is good. And I want to allow, yeah, 20. We'll put this on a little bit higher priority. But I think, is this all closed in? Not quite. The reason I'm doing it this way is because this only has a limit of 20. If there happens to be more than 20 that I want to put in here, yeah, you can already see it set to 28. So that'd be too many. But if I have it in this little room with these open doors and everything is completed, then it will go down to whatever is in this little area. So I can just basically endlessly bring plug slugs in here. So, I'm just going to wait for them to build the rest of this, and then we'll come right back to finish this up. Okay, pretty much ready to build our battery bank, so let's get that going. Again, just stack up a whole bunch of them. That's probably fine. Then we just need to connect the power to it, and we should be good. And then this is going to be a much more powerful grid than we have for our manual one, so all we need to do is just transform it down and start using it. So there you go. Something like that. Then we need to capture our plug slugs. We need to finish this tile so they can actually knock it out. Once we finish that tile, we have our batteries. Now we can start just capturing these guys. And our rancher ought to bring them back as soon as it's time. Is it you? Yeah, it's you. Get off the thingy. There. Now that we have 8 duplicants here, we may also need a little bit more oxygen production, so just gonna get another one set up here. Looks like my duplicants have been really busy running around doing other things. They haven't really prioritized bringing stuff here, so I'm not that worried. A whole bunch fell from the ceiling here, so it's already right next to where it needs to go anyway. There we go. Alright, now our plug slugs will just need to go to bed for the night, and that should start to get this going. The other thing that I'm going to want to do is I will want to ship myself coal. So I'm going to set up a little bit of a coal setup here also. We're producing so much back at home, and we'll eventually be switching on to other power sources back at home, that the coal is going to be useful to send over here. We're going to need a lot of power here in just a little bit too, so that's kind of the idea. Let me stop sending myself copper, by the way. There we go. Alright, so just going to set up the same amount of coal generators we typically do, so just the 5. And we can set up shipping here, but I don't think I have anybody that actually has it spec'd out. I don't have anybody that has enough morale right now, so we might just need to load it manually for just a little bit. Or I can scrub someone's skills, like one of the veteran duplicants that was from the other asteroid. So here we go. Plug slugs are charging this now. It's not going to be a tremendous amount. Actually, we have 4 of them, so this is actually a good amount. Oh, it's not connected yet. Yeah, okay. No, it's going pretty well. All right. Yeah, so we'll get all this stuff connected up, and then I'm going to obviously need to connect this up to the smart battery. And then if there's any excess that needs to go in here, we can just use the coal to produce it. We won't need to run off of our manual power anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that and the other batteries that are down here. So yeah, the shipping for coal, let's set that up really quickly. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. What I think I'm going to do, let me see how many coal reserves we have here. We have a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the place that we're dropping off the coal in my main base, I'm going to swap it out for a different type of tool in the shipping kit. It's basically going to be a conveyor receptacle, which is just going to allow it to pile up there. Instead of, like, it's just going to sit in here, but it's not going to allow huge piles to sit in here like this. So basically, if I need coal, it will be filled up in here, but the whole point of this is so that you can have more than one thing requesting on the same line, and it won't just all get dumped in one place. It'll just basically get used by whatever needs it. So we have this that's being sent over to our other asteroid, and this is our coal line. So all I'm going to do is just connect the two of them and send coal over. And there's some automation stuff that we could do to, like, send it back and forth to let us know if we need to actually send more coal here. I guess you could play around with that if you want. I don't know if I have it researched yet. Yeah, there's just some ones that will let you do, like, remote automation, basically, that you could play around with if you wanted to do that, but I don't have it yet. I don't really have the research yet, so I'm not going to worry about it. For now, I'm just going to send a whole bunch of coal, and we'll just use it when we get it. So yeah, we're going to have a bunch of coal here, and that should be pretty much it. We will have more power sources than this once we get down into the oil biome. But for the rest of this, I'm just going to continue to expand. We're eventually going to need to get down here. So I'm just going to mine this out as hard as I can. And I'm also going to start getting into this ice biome. Or sorry, I have multiple ice biomes. There's one here, and one here. To start getting this sleet wheat rolling, because this will be like my main source of sleet wheat throughout the game. And sleet wheat's going to be great for space travel and that kind of stuff too. So we've seen that happen before, so I'm not going to talk about that in too exhaustive of detail. Just basically going to crack into these biomes and start getting access to it. So this might be a little bit of a longer period where not a lot is happening, because I'm just going to be digging around the map. When something interesting starts to happen, I'll jump back with another video, though. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part here really soon.